Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you, whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 120th episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm very excited to invite all you ladies out there listening on our girls' trip to Jamaica next July. That's right, July 24th through the 27th of 2025. We are going to Sandals Ochi Resort in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, to help celebrate my mama's 80th birthday. Now, I've told you all about my mom and me trips that we've been doing, and we've gone to the Bahamas, we've gone to Jamaica. Most recently, a few months ago, we went to Curacao, and we've gone the past 3 years in a row, and it's always been in July to celebrate my mother's birthday. And what started off as a one-time thing, we've now done multiple times. And I told my mother, I was like, I would love to take you to a new island. I said, but I have another idea. And she was interested because my mother doesn't care where we go. She just says she just enjoys going, and we've had an amazing time. And it's been a wonderful experience for us each time. I said, what if we made it a girls' trip? Because for years, I've been contacted by my listeners and my guest on our travel group, Heather and Logan Tate, Whimsical Destinations, and all of these women in Northeast Mississippi and surrounding areas have contacted me and said, when are you going to host or lead a women's trip? And I've tried in the past year or so to get together a group of women, and we've done a few group trips where it's been open up to everyone, whether it's couples or families, and I've done a few of those. Some cruises, all-inclusive to beaches, Turks and Caicos, and so I've done a few experiences with that, and it's been wonderful. But I have yet to do a complete all-women's trip, and so I thought this would be perfect to celebrate my mom's birthday, and I told her, I was like, Jamaica makes the most sense because there's the most flight options there. We can get the best pricing if we do Jamaica. And my mother said, I don't care if I go back somewhere that I've been. I just would like to go. And so I was like, well, let's do Jamaica then. And she has not been to the Ocho Rios section of Jamaica. I have been to Jamaica 13 times, getting ready to go in January for my 14th. And then in July will be my 15th. So I love Jamaica. There's so much to offer. And it makes a really great first Caribbean experience, especially going as an all-inclusive. Now, why did I choose Sandals Ochi? Now, if you're familiar with Sandals Resorts, you may think, well, that's supposed to be for couples only. And that is how they started, for two people in love. And each room does only accommodate two people in a king-size bed. But as they have been growing, and they now have 19 different resorts throughout the Caribbean. As they've been growing, they realize that oftentimes you will have two women that will share a room because maybe they're going to a wedding. Maybe they're attending a wedding for a friend or family member. Lots of companies will do group retreats. And Sandals Ochi ends up being the most popular for larger groups because it's the largest Sandals resort. So I thought, Sandals Ochi will be perfect. There's rooms at all different price ranges, and it actually is the best priced Sandals resort in the company. So it makes for a really good first one. There's 16 different restaurants. It has a beach side and a hillside, and there's 105 pools on property. Some of those are private, some are semi-private, but I kept envisioning this Butler Villa that is really popular with my clients, my honeymooners, my anniversary guests, my groups that go where they want to have a whole villa that can accommodate 2 to 4 rooms. So that will be 4 to 8 people. And they have the whole villa to themselves, and you have a pool there. So I kept thinking if we had a group go and had whether 4 or 8 people, we could have a Butler Villa as one of our room options. Also, when I said it's the best priced resort, let me tell you a little bit about what the pricing could be. I already have 10 rooms held. Most of those are already deposited for our group trip. Now, some guests are saying 3 nights is not long enough. They'd like to stay 4 or 5 nights. I have one sister group, they're coming from Illinois, so it's not just going to be from Mississippi. I have some other guests coming from Alabama. I have some others that are considering it and that are already booked, and they're from the middle of Mississippi. So it's not going to be just Northeast Mississippi. This is going to be open for all women throughout the U.S. who would like to come. Now, the reason why I chose Sandals Ochi for pricing is because when they have a special rate released on Wednesdays, sometimes Sandals Ochi is included in that. And so we were able to book our starter rooms, like the best price rooms, for $1,457 for 2 for 3 nights. So you split that in half and you're paying about $725 each for the 3 nights, including your food, your drinks, your activities on the resort like snorkeling, glass bottom boats, ocean kayaks, hobby cat sailboats, lots of things to do, nightly shows. Another thing that I know that my mother will love, and it's something that I want to do on our group trip, is they have the only speakeasy in the Caribbean. So it's a 1920s Great Gatsby themed speakeasy where you have to have a password to get in. It's built into the hillside. It's called the Rabbit Hole, but it looks kind of like a little hobbit hole door. And there's someone standing outside and you have to give the password to, and they let you in, and you walk down the stairs, and then you're like transported, shall I say, to another time and place. 1920s themed, there's going to be live music. There's 1920s themed, like Prohibition era drinks. And there's a dance floor, or you can just sit around and just enjoy and listen and watch. And I thought that would be really fun. I already have my dress that is a 1920s flapper style dress that I'm going to bring, and my mother doesn't know it, but I'm going to get her one too. So I thought that would be really fun. This resort makes for a super fun girls trip, even though a lot of honeymooners and anniversary guests still go here. But I thought it would be good because clients would not feel, going in a group of women, they would not feel uncomfortable. And also, I know that sometimes women, they want to travel with other women. I've done podcast episodes in the past about solo travel. And one of my recommendations is, even if you are by yourself and you want to go to a new destination and you still want to do things on your own, maybe you want to do excursions like in a group on your own, it is a good idea to know people who are going the same time you are. So I have clients who are like, you know what? I cannot get someone to travel with me. I want to go to these places, but I need a roommate, someone who's willing to travel. And so I have had several contact me already who want to go on the girls' trip, but they need a roommate. So if you're thinking, okay, I already have someone in mind, my best friend, my sister, my daughter, my mom, I have like my neighbor, like I have someone that I would love, my coworker, I would love to go with me and they can go, then that's great. But if you're thinking, oh, this would be amazing, but I don't have someone who would go with me, I'd be willing to share a room so we can split that cost, then contact me. Message me in our group, join our group if you're not already a part of it, and I can send you some more information. So what all is included, we talked about that a little bit. What is not included? Your flights will be separate. I can help make recommendations for that, give you more information about that. You'll also need passports, but plenty of time because, again, we're not traveling until July of 2025. Still a good idea to go ahead and get those ordered now. If you do an excursion off property, those will be additional. Or if you decide you want to do a spa treatment while on property, those are also additional. But you can actually go and not ever leave the property. You can say, we want to stay here. We just want to snorkel. We want to eat the restaurants. We want to walk along the beach. We want to swim. We want to, we want to do all of the nightlife activities that are included and never have to pay anything extra besides just your flights. That is also an option. So if you're interested for more information, I'm going to have a whole fun itinerary. Again, my mom and I are just going for 4 days and 3 nights. I'll talk to you about your options for where you fly into, where you fly out of, deposits. It's only a $98 deposit within the first week, 3 weeks later, we'll have a second deposit of $302. Your final deposit is not due until 60 days before you go. So again, you can make monthly payments, and if you break it up that way for 7 months, if you're paying $700 per person, it's $100 a month. And you've got it covered, and it'll be ready by the time your due date comes around. So contact me. My cell is 662-401-9327. We would love for you to join our first ever girls trip to the Caribbean to celebrate my mama's 80th birthday. And if you have not met my mother yet, you are in for a treat because she is always the life of the party. Wherever you go, whatever you're doing this week, have a safe and fun and happy week. Remember, life is short. Take the trip. Make those memories. Spend that time together. You won't regret it. That's it for this edition of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. Tune in every Monday at 11 a.m. to turn your travel dreams into travel plans. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for an interview or for access to this interview, go to our website, shark1023.com, and click on the podcast tab. This interview can also be found on Apple, Google, and Amazon Podcast. Keep it tuned to the Shark 1023 and start planning your next trip.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcast, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.